What's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Ziggy Z and today I have an exclusive special offer for you. This week only I'll be selling half-price victim cards. First come, first serve, while supplies last. Wait, what's up? You don't know what a victim card is? Do you live under a rock or something? Alright, well I guess I'll have to explain it. Basically what you have to do is take out your wallet out of your pocket. Next, open it up and take out your victim card. After that, you just hand it to the person you're talking to, and just like that you've won the conversation. It's awesome, I know. But in all seriousness guys, it's not awesome. It's actually gotten really bad, to the point where I'm very bothered by the trend I've been seeing with a lot of people. Before I get any further into the video, I want to briefly explain what my purpose is for making this video. Today I want to share with you the things that I've seen and how they've impacted me and impacted others. I want to speak on behalf of those out there with real problems and help people realize how to see the silver lining in their lives. Some people may be offended by this video, but I hope if you listen to what I have to say, that it'll help you think of things from a new perspective. It's also okay if you disagree with anything I say. I've used my experience in my life to formulate my own thoughts, and I'm sure you have too. I'm always interested in seeing people's different perspectives. With all that out of the way, hopefully you're comfy because this might be one of my longer videos. Alright, so I'm going to start by explaining what the victim card really is. A victim card is the act of using any kind of shortcoming you have to gain an advantage and bring out the sympathy of others. In the art of persuasion, this is known as pathos or pathos. Not really sure how to pronounce that. A quality that provokes pity or sadness. That definition is from dictionary.com. Pathos can be one of the strongest forms of persuasion because it is one of the few ways to get around people's logic and appeal to their emotions. I'll use a quick story from my past as a manager. Being a nice guy, I've had my fair share of being walked on and used for the advantage of others. One such time was an employee I had working for me who would always ask to go home early without doing all of their work. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, of course not. Finish your work and then you can go home. But this comes back to being a nice guy, aka the doormat. This particular individual saw other people not finishing their work and leaving when I wasn't there. They followed by telling me how wrong it is to expect one person to do all the work while everyone else gets to leave whenever they feel like it. This reasoning got to me, especially because I was centered around a unified team effort. Several times I asked that individual to stay and finish, and several times I allowed them to leave. Say what you will of my skills as a manager, but they had some valid points about the lack of consistency within the store. This story clearly shows how a good argument playing on emotions can be even stronger than a good argument playing on logic. The logic is that I had a store to run, and they worked for me. So they had to finish their work, period. Emotions would rebuttal that by saying it's not fair to expect more from them than others. Regardless of the reasoning, this person was able to play the victim card with me, gaining them an advantage and being allowed to leave. What makes the situation wrong, and many situations like it, is because these people learn to always do the minimum possible and push to always do less. They want the easy life, always looking for a way out or an easier alternative. They have fully convinced themselves that because someone else didn't do enough, they don't have to either. They were the victim and needed saving. As I said, I was a fair person and wanted everyone to work as a single unit. Do you know what the result of that employee going home was? Me staying extra to finish up the work that wasn't done. So then ask yourself this, is that fair? I didn't really care, to be honest, if I had to stay extra or work harder because I had a bigger goal in mind for the future of the store. I wanted progress and I wanted to be fair to everyone as I pushed for things to become better. Those that watched my video on why I quit that job know that my goals were not achieved. However, I do not regret how I handled those situations, but I do feel pity for those who took advantage of the kindness I showed them. These people didn't learn how to be responsible, and I failed to teach them that. All I can say is that I hope someday they'll learn to take responsibility and act accordingly. Now that I've explained what the victim card is, I want to show you how this emotional persuasion has impacted our nation on issues of sexuality, gender, race, and religion. Remember when I said this video might offend you? Now might be that time. I'll start by saying that I believe in equal rights for all. Why do you ask? Because honestly I don't care what you do, where you come from, or what you look like. What I do care about, however, is how you act, what contributions you make to society, how you behave in public and in your home, and most importantly, how you treat others. Do you ever wonder why we have roads to drive on? Why we have cars and license plates? Do you ever wonder about the Made in China labels on some of our common items at the store? Yes, these observations are random, but they serve a purpose to show us what kind of world we live in. How do you think people from all over the world can be connected and have understanding of each other? Well, it's because someone out there at one point had a goal in mind. They thought up ideas, discussed it with others, and made it happen, all without cussing someone out or threatening them. I am aware that there are exceptions to this, but I'd like you to take a moment to think about the progress the entire world has made from people who had a dream or idea and made it a reality. I'm sitting in a chair right now because one day, a long time ago, some guy or gal decided to sit on a rock and call it a chair. All these years later, it's been fitted with wheels and some cushion. Amazing what we can do when we work together. Progress is a beautiful thing, and I personally love to see things grow and blossom, and meet or exceed their potential. However, sometimes people let their emotions get the best of them, and try to initiate change or progress through means of manipulation. This is where the victim card comes into play, and today we're going to learn all about it, and the different variations it comes in. My first discussion will be on the race card. The race card is always one of those things I found ridiculous. Before you cast your vote saying I'm racist, let's look at this example. A man walks into a gas station to buy beer. Clerk behind the counter tells the man that he cannot sell him alcohol after 2 a.m. a.m. For those of you who have different laws, where I live it's illegal to purchase alcohol after 2 a.m. Anyways, the man becomes furious and pulls out a gun, shooting the clerk in the abdomen. He then leaves with his beer and has one on the way home. Alright everyone, let's take a vote. Who is right and wrong in this situation? All finished? Perfect. Congratulations, 99% of us can agree that the guy trying to buy the beer was in the wrong. I guess 1% of you must really like your beer. The nice thing about this example is that we could use our logic and reasoning to come to a reasonable conclusion based on facts. Now let's change it up a bit and make the clerk a black guy, and the man trying to buy the beer a white guy. Suddenly the emotions start flowing and now it's a hate crime on black people. Switch it around and the same thing happens. It's a crime on white people and everybody freaks out. Do you see how simple it is to play with the emotions of people to throw off their judgment? I never told you about the background of the two guys or anything about their lives, but we were still able to make a moral judgment. After adding in the race of the two men, suddenly it sparked a war between races. My question is why? Believe it or not, race crimes do very much exist, but you won't hear about them because they are covered up with all the other excuses for race crimes. I am mixed, and I've had a very good dose of the racial judgment all throughout my life and still to this day. Do you really think that after what I've been through, that I want to bring more attention to the color of my skin and less to my character and mind? Absolutely not. I want people to stop using the race card to gain support or sympathy. If someone is a good person, then they are a good person. If someone is a killer, then they are a killer. If someone doesn't like you because you're always cussing and threatening people, don't use the color of your skin and call them racist towards everyone with the same shade as you. And likewise, if you're a smart person and someone doesn't like you, don't use the color of your skin as the end-all, be-all answer. I encourage you to seek out people's true motivations for what they do and how they act. You'll quickly learn that many racist people aren't actually racist, but rather dislike many, if not all, of the people they've met who share the same shade. Moving on though, we have the gender card. I want to be clear on my views towards different genders. When it comes to my personal life, i.e. how I treat members of my family and or the person I'm dating and their family, my opinions change depending on who I'm dealing with. However, and for the sake of this argument, when it comes to the public, I'd say I'm more neutral. Will I hold the door for a lady? Sure, why not? Will I hold the door for a man? Sure, why not? If I see a woman beating the life out of another person, would I stop her? Yeah, I would. And the same applies if it was a man. The gender card is one of those things that is used so much nowadays as an excuse to get sympathy instead of a real reason to initiate change. If you're a woman and your husband or boyfriend cheated on you, do not jump to the gender card immediately. Investigate the situation and find the real reason behind it. Did he cheat on you because your relationship was falling apart? Or did he cheat on you because he hates women? Let's go with the latter and follow it up. Now, you're a single woman who thinks all men that cheat are sexist. You begin to start a movement to stop men from cheating on their girlfriends. Just take a moment and think about that, because that is exactly what society is now. The idea of stopping someone from cheating on their partner based on social values is absurd. People don't cheat because they are sexist, they cheat because they are unhappy or unsatisfied or any other number of reasons. What is sad though is her petition would gain a lot of attention because it tackles a subject that a lot of people can relate to. And guess what? How many of you know that in more than half of the US, when a woman wants to buy a pad for her period, it gets taxed as a luxury item? Now that is what true sexism is. That is what a real discrimination looks like. Obviously men don't need to buy pads for their periods, but women shouldn't have to be charged extra for something that is natural for them and unavoidable in almost all cases. Again, I will state that I am for equal rights for people, but be smart about what you call unequal, because the world of gender equality is now filled with men and women speaking out about their personal problems that have nothing to do with their gender and everything to do with themselves as a person. If you are a woman or a man that knows of something that is truly unequal, do the right thing and petition it. Don't set the courthouse on fire or start a mob. Go about it civilly and take care of the problem peacefully. I want to also talk about religion and how it's viewed as a bad thing pretty much by everyone who doesn't have the same religion as you. Religious people are typically not supportive in any way of other religions. Such is the nature of being religious. However, some people like to take it to the next level and speak out upon other religions or display prejudice because of it. Let me ask you guys another question. Would you or would you not elect a Muslim as president? I speak now on behalf of where I live and the society I live in, which may or may not be different than yours depending on where you live. Here though, many people wouldn't, and this message is to those who said no. I'm going to be honest with you all. The Muslim faith is depicted to be directly correlated with bombing and terrorism. It is to the point where the two words are synonymous with each other. That is what true religion bias is. I'll be the first to admit this. I know next to nothing about the Muslim religion other than terrorism. But would it then be fair for me to go to every Muslim in the Muslim faith and call them a terrorist? Of course not, because again, it's biased. These are issues that can only be fixed if the entire society took a stance on learning more about different religions and formulating thoughts and opinions as a result. I highly doubt I'll ever see that happen in my lifetime. But don't fear, I have good news for you all. If you meet someone, get to know that person. Figure out their morals and values. Figure out what kind of views they have on life and other people. After you've gained knowledge of a single individual, you can then make your assessment and formulate your thoughts on them. And that's it. You now know the type of person you're dealing with. Can you see how subtracting their religion out of the equation, it becomes so much easier to formulate an opinion on them as a person? I very much hope so, because that is how you should judge someone. Now, how do people use their religious victim cards? Well, I just explained what real religion bias is. Now I want to explain what fake religious bias is. I want you to picture something. You're at school and you get bullied a lot. You always walk around with your head down and you don't talk to people much. One day you come to the conclusion that people don't want to talk to you and don't seem to like you very much. So you go to the bathroom and look in the mirror. Just like that, it comes to you. People must not like you because you're Jewish and wear a kippah. By the way, I have no idea how to pronounce that, so I apologize if I am completely botching it. The next thing you do is form a protest against all the bullies in school because they don't like your religion, and you start calling everyone prejudiced. Well, buddy, I think you're looking in the wrong spot here. See, some people did actually dislike you because of your religion. However, most people didn't care. The reason you were treated that way was because of how you held yourself and how quiet and shy you were. You cannot use your religion as a trump card to call on people's sympathy for you. Yes, the bias does exist, but not in this case, and not in many others like it. Sexuality falls right into this trend, and not surprisingly. Can I just make one simple observation and ask you all one simple question? Why is your sexual preference the thoughts everyone else is concerned? I'm being 100% serious now. Why do you feel the need to tell everyone what you like or don't like? Let's dig a little deeper into some things that have separated us based on what we do behind closed doors. Years ago, it became legal for someone who is queer to join the military, and not long ago, it became legal for the opposite sex to get married via the Supreme Court ruling. Well, would you look at that? People with shared ideas got together and made a change. That's great. So my question is, why are you still fighting? Activists fight for equal rights, and they've achieved their purpose, yet they still continue to fight. Do you want to know who the enemy is? Everyone. Now, it's not an issue of getting equal rights, it's an issue of changing people's personal opinions. You want society to accept you for being gay? For the most part, it has. Any media platform you look at that speaks ill of homosexuality, it will receive immense amounts of hate. You have the support of the people, so what's left? I honestly don't know. Because the sexual preference card has been used for so long to enact change, it's now seen as another victim card to be used when it suits someone. Examples include being bullied, being called names, being thrown out of places, etc. But what is the real issue here? Take a closer look at what caused those issues. You'll quickly learn that the people act differently depending on many factors. I've seen a lot of gay men who are really loud, and sometimes I just want to tell them to shut up. But guess what? I've seen a lot of straight men who are loud, and I want to do the same thing. However, in the eyes of the public, it is not okay for the first option because they are seen as the victim and have the right to be themselves even if it disrupts the public. This issue has nothing to do with sexual preference and everything to do with whether or not you act civilized in public. Yet, it's just one of many examples people use to gather sympathy and play the victim. It is because of these people who think the way they do that real problems and issues get buried outside the view of the public eye. More to the point though, I really care and feel passionate about how you act in public and what kind of person you display yourself to be. And I really don't see how what you do in your sexual life should change how you act in public. If anyone is wondering if this only applies to gay people, allow me to enlighten you. Imagine, if you will, that this random person has a foot fetish. Instead of acting upon their fetish at home, they instead want to suck on someone's toes at the park. Where I live, this might be looked at as a bit strange. Next, how would you feel if you saw a couple walking together and one of them was on all fours with a collar around their neck being held by a leash by their partner? These are just a couple examples of the things that people do behind closed doors that they wouldn't do in public. So where does the line get drawn? I could go on for days about the way people act in public, but as it is, this video is about as long as an episode on the National Geographic Channel. I'll finish this off by making my last point. In a conclusive thought, I have only scratched the surface of what the victim card really is and how it is used to take advantage of others. But my message to you is simple. Be whoever or whatever you want to be and accept the way your life will be. Find your happiness in your own situation and make the best of it. If there is a serious issue that affects your life within the legal or political system, you should try to petition it. But there is a point in which you have to work hard and dedicate yourself to what you want to get out of life. The real issue with playing the victim is how easy it is to find an excuse or reason to not move forward. It's an easy way to blame someone or something else to redirect the attention away from yourself. Be honest with yourself, because many of the problems you will face have to be overcome by you. Stop finding reasons to be unhappy. Stop finding people to blame for everything that goes wrong. Start by taking accountability for your behavior and actions and work towards getting what you desire out of life. Feel free to share your thoughts and insights with me down below in the comments section. And thank you for taking the time to listen to what I had to say. I hope that this helped you in some way to see things differently and make the best of what you got. Again, thanks for listening. My name is Iggy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.